2026. The world is no longer divided by nations, but controlled by one dominant power. Freedom is a memory, resistance, a whisper, and everything you're about to see is how it all began. May 1st, 8945. In our world, this date marks the end of a nightmare. Victory in Europe Day, the fall of tyranny, the return of hope. But imagine, just for a moment, that history took a different path. Imagine a world where that day didn't bring celebration, but silence. No cheering crowds, no liberation, no victory, only the quiet realization that the war was over and that humanity had lost. It began in 1940, a year that in our timeline marked resilience. But here, it marked collapse. Operation Sea Lion, once considered too risky, too ambitious, became a brutal success. German forces crossed the Channel. The skies above Britain burned, and within weeks, the unthinkable happened. London fell, the heart of the British Empire, silenced under foreign control. The last great resistance in Western Europe extinguished. Britain defeated. The world changed overnight. There was no longer a safe place, no stronghold, no symbol of defiance. Europe didn't just lose a battle, it lost hope. Governments collapsed, armies surrendered, and one by one, entire nations disappeared into the shadow of a rising empire. Across the Atlantic, the United States watched carefully. The fall of Britain sent shockwaves through Washington, but without a foothold in Europe, intervention seemed impossible. The debates were endless, the risks too high. And so, history shifted once again. America did not enter the war. It waited. And in that hesitation, the fate of the world was sealed. Then came 1941, Operation Barbarossa. In our world, it was a turning point, a costly mistake. But in this reality, it was a masterpiece of destruction. German forces advanced with terrifying speed. Cities fell one after another. Resistance crumbled. And before winter could arrive, Moscow was taken. The Soviet Union, vast, powerful, unbreakable, collapsed in a matter of months. The Eastern Front was no more. By 1945, the war was over. But what followed was not peace. It was control. The world was divided between two empires, Germany in the west, Japan in the east. A fragile agreement held them apart. Not friendship, not trust, just power. Balancing power. Europe ceased to exist as we know it. Borders were erased, nations dissolved. In their place, a single structure emerged, organized, efficient, absolute. Every aspect of life redesigned, not for the people, but for the system. Cities became symbols of dominance. Paris, once a center of art and culture, transformed into a showcase of power. Berlin expanded into a colossal capital, a city built not for living, but for control. And elsewhere, entire cities vanished, erased from maps, forgotten by design. Language became a weapon, a tool to reshape thought itself. One language was enforced, one narrative repeated, one truth allowed. Children were taught obedience before they were taught curiosity. History rewritten, identity replaced, a generation raised to never question. In this world, privacy is a myth. Every street is watched, every home monitored. Conversations are recorded, expressions analyzed. Fear becomes invisible, but constant. Because the most dangerous crime is thinking differently. Science advances rapidly, but without boundaries, without ethics, progress becomes something else entirely. Experiments are conducted in secrecy, human lives reduced to data. The goal is no longer discovery, but perfection, control, dominance. By the 1960s, the next frontier is no longer Earth. Rockets pierce the sky. Satellites orbit above. But this is not a race for exploration. It's a race for supremacy. The first man in space is not a symbol of unity, but a warning. Even the stars are not beyond control. The United States remains untouched, but not unaffected. It grows stronger, builds its defenses, watches from a distance. A free nation, surrounded by a controlled world, waiting, preparing, hoping it won't be next. A new kind of war begins, not fought with armies, but with tension, with spies, with secrets, a constant, invisible conflict, where one mistake could ignite everything. For the average citizen, life is stable, predictable, safe, but empty. Choices are limited, dreams are guided. Freedom is no longer understood because it has been gone for too long. And yet, even in this world, something survives. In hidden basements, in whispered conversations, resistance is born. Small, fragile, but alive. But resistance has a price. Those who fight back disappear. No trials, no explanations, just absence. A warning to others. That hope is dangerous. Fast forward to 2025. The world is more advanced than ever before. Technology connects everything, but not for freedom, for control. Every device, a tool of surveillance. Every system, designed to monitor. Progress, without liberty. But no system is perfect. Cracks begin to appear. Glitches, failures, doubts. People start to question, quietly at first, then louder. And for the first time in decades, change feels possible. This world never existed, but it could have, and that's what makes it so powerful. Because history is not fixed, it is shaped by moments, decisions, and sometimes hesitation. So the real question isn't, what if Germany had won World War II? But what if we forget why it didn't? You've just seen a world where freedom was lost. A world shaped by domination, fear, and control. But how many other realities are hiding just one choice away? On Time Twist, we rewrite the past to reimagine the future. Like, subscribe, step into the next timeline.